Hello, guys, and welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. It's me, Alex Whiteley, and I'm bringing a really cool episode today for you because you may remember a while back I did an interview with Kevin and Suzie Guerin from Shropshire Floats. We did a vlog as well. It was a really good day, actually. It's one of the better days of the Shrewsbury Biscuit because I got to test out the flotation tank. We did a great interview, and it just felt really good to be out and about, you know. It was at that time. And I got a very delightful email from them. Their daughter's gone out on an adventure. And, we're here to talk about renewable energy. And Abigail, is it Abby or Abby? Abigail, Abby.
Abby, yes.
Yeah. My mom is the only one that calls me Xander, Alexander. I'm just like, okay, just Alex is fine. Or Al. I even shortened it to Al because just to get done with. You're on an adventure, aren't you? A really interesting journey. First of all, explain sort of what it is you're learning to do initially.
Right, yes. So I'm training to basically one day be the captain of a ship.
Nice.
So working my way up from the bottom of the ranks all the way up. So yeah, I'm just spending quite a lot of time in college, and then right now I've got a year at sea to try and get in all of that experience, learn it all firsthand, and then hopefully be qualified as a third mate.
What an amazing thing. What an amazing thing. Because you know what, when you think of the captain of the ship, you think, oh, the captain, it's just one of those things where you think, oh, it's an amazing thing. That's cool. Great uniform and all that. But nobody ever thinks about what actually goes into becoming the captain. Why are they the captain of the ship? You know, is it because they look good in the uniform? No, there's probably a lot of training that goes into it. So is this how long is the course or the education that you're doing to become a captain?
It's 3 years long.
Yeah. Wow.
And it kind of works the same way as you'd expect a normal apprenticeship to work, where you spend kind of most of your time in college and then a little bit of time actually like at a place of work. And so normally kind of a 2/3, 1/3 sort of split.
Yeah.
And instead of me doing that, where like I spend the first half of the week in college, I'm actually spending 2 years in college and then a year at sea.
Wow. A year at sea sounds kind of great, actually.
Escaping everything.
I both love and hate people. I'm very honest about how I feel about things. Both love and hate people at the moment. Morally, I kind of like. So we see these terrible things that happen in the press. You know, the toilet roll incidents and the petrol thing that went on a few weeks ago.
Yes.
You know, and you think, oh, do you know what? People are just the worst. I want to go for a year at sea. Look at these amazing countries that do things completely different. And then you like see these great community vibes and these great events that just really restore your faith in humanity. And you're like, actually, hold on, I'll hang on for a little bit longer. You know? I don't know.
Well, sure, because of this, I can pick and choose as well. I can ignore everything, and then when something fun's happening, sure, I'll just go over to shore.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I used to know a guy that was in the Merchant Navy, and he was just like he would. I met him doing the job I'm doing now and support. A shout out to Alex, another Alex, and he would say like, you know, he'd spent so long out at sea that when he'd get a job on the land or just doing the same thing, he'd get really antsy and be like, I can't. It'd be very difficult for him to do that one thing. He'd want to get back out there, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine that. Yeah. So is this your first placement then away from college? Like, explain that a bit.
Yeah, that's it. So right now I'm on board a jack-up vessel. And so not only is this my first ship, it's also probably the worst one I could possibly get as my first, because it's just so different to the way so many other vessels work, with the fact that, well, for one, best meals ever, get my laundry done for me, get my cabin cleaned.
You're getting spoiled.
Very, very spoiled. On my next ship, I'm probably going to be down to about 12 crew instead of close to 60.
Yeah.
And I have to do everything myself. And yeah, it'll definitely be a shock to the senses.
Have you done much traveling beforehand? Is this like a shock to the system for you? Is it because, like, there's a difference between being in cozy Myddle in Shropshire to being somewhere else in the world?
Yeah, no, this really is my first time traveling. Not really my first time going away from home because
Mm.
my parents used to ship me off to Ireland every summer. But no, yeah, just trying to get used to the culture and everything like that is probably the biggest shock.
That's the best thing, though, isn't it? I love that. My wife is from
Yes.
Colombia, so whenever we go to Colombia, we go to Bogota. I soak all that up. I love it. We go to the quieter. I always say when I go abroad and things like this. I spoke about this with Ron Morgan actually last week. But I like to go to the quieter places where the locals go and sort of like take all that in. Do you get much time to do that now with your current role, or is it kind of just work, work, work?
No, luckily the crew are really nice and understand how hard it is to be working every single day for a full month straight. So they're letting me have weekends off. So I normally spend the weekends exploring the local area. Got to see Copenhagen recently, so that was
Nice.
lovely. But no, just going out and enjoying all the food is really the most important thing for me.
It's a staple of a great adventure, isn't it? What's the food like?
That's it.
We went to. I remember we went to Bruges, went to Belgium, and we had like a shoestring budget, and we were like, "Oh my god, what are we going to do for food?" And we found out that Belgium really like their chips, just like us in the UK, and they like to like dollop loads of mayo or whatever it is, or the pink sauce all over the chips. I was like, "That'll do. That's fine. We're fitting in with the culture, and it's cheap." It was great. But you're out there doing an important job as well. You're part of a crew that go out and fix the wind farm turbines, right?
Yes. So a different ship goes out and puts all of the bases into the seabed, and what we do is we bring the actual turbine and install that. So
Wow.
the ship can carry about five. It's the ship. The ship is about 160. Um, oh,
Ooh,
I've just caught myself out.
yeah, that's
How
funny.
long is it?
It's weird how many times that happens. I forget my kid's age and all sorts of stuff on podcasts. It's very
Yes.
normal. Don't worry about it to be put on the spot. So it's a very big ship.
Massive ship, but it can only take about five turbines. So if you just think of the size of them.
Mm. What an experience, though. What was your first reaction when you find? Obviously, you knew what you were doing. Nobody goes into these things sort of haphazard, like, "Oh, just going to go on a boat for a few." When you actually saw the scale of the operation, what was that like for you?
It was insane, and it was just so strange to be out in the middle of nowhere, just surrounded by miles and miles of sea, and
Mhm.
to just these massive towers outside of your cabin window every morning.
It is insane, because you see these things in the distance. I was just in Skegness, looking out at the North Sea, actually. So, hey, and you can see this. They've got this
I'm out
massive
there.
wind. Yeah. uh, and these tiny little things in the distance, and they're quite impressive. Me and my wife had this interesting discussion. Actually, she was like, "When you speak to Abby on the podcast, tell her that they're an eyesore." And I was like, "Well, yes, there may be something, an odd thing to look at, a very unnatural thing to see out in the distance there, but they have a very important job, actually. So I think I prefer to see these things in the distance and know that the planet's probably going to survive a little longer than not. So I mean, there's lots of people that have these different opinions on these things,
And
I
well,
guess.
at sea, the turbines are replacing oil rigs, and surely the turbines are quite a lot prettier than that.
Yes, yes, but they are strikingly huge, aren't they?
Yes.
This is to get real close to one to understand. If you guys have driven past a wind farm, you'll understand, or if you've probably even worked on one. But they're very tall as well. They're very, 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 very. I'm scared of heights, and I look at the top of a wind turbine, and I'm like, no, never, not once, not in in my entire life. Quite daunting, right?
Yeah, standing at the base, looking up and seeing all the ladders that you have to go up to get to the top, I'm just, no thanks.
And have you met people that are just like, yep, off I go then, and straight up the ladders they go?
Yeah, yeah, I don't understand it.
Wow, unbelievable! I could never do something like that. No, like I said, never. So what kind of work did you have to put into then to learn about how these wind turbines work, and sort of like what your role is gonna sort of entail?
Well, another way that this ship works differently is that up on the bridge, we don't really have any contact with the cargo or anything like that. That is all left to the people we hire on board. So my part of it is mostly just making sure the stability of the ship is right for when we're sailing. But I did get to have a tour around them and learning about how they all work and the kind of the engineering behind it. And that was very, very interesting.
I imagine. I guess it's a liability thing, right? So you can like put your hands up, like we didn't touch it. If it broke, it's your fault.
Yes.
Yeah. So when it comes to looking after the stability of the ship and things like that, because I know that Dee, who's one of our co-hosts from the past, she works in transport, and she was talking about how when a wind turbine is driven through a town, it takes like a good few months planning. You have to notify the councils, and things have to be made sure that everything's safe. And it's a huge ordeal to move these things through a town. But is it similar for the ocean? Then do you have to like make sure that everything's out the way? We're not going to cause any damage or anything. Is that?
Yes, very. We have a massive crane that lifts them into place to make sure they're not getting knocked around. We can't sail in bad weather in case the vibrations of the ship mess up the systems, and we have to make sure that the ship is completely level. There's no trim. There's no list to any side, just in case there's too much stress on one part of the turbine.
Wow, what a huge responsibility.
That I won't have to worry about for a good few years yet.
Amazing. Were you a bit overwhelmed though when you got there and you're kind of like, oh my God, this is a huge task?
Yes, very. And just the number of people involved was just so daunting, because I was just expecting a crew of maybe 10, 12 people and instead facing 60 odd. It's a bit much.
Yes, especially when you train to be the captain of a future vessel, in a few years, like, everybody looking at you for answers and stuff like that, because I'm not comparing what I do to being a captain of a ship. Of course I'm not. I would never do that. But, when you're responsible for things and you got a group of people, like we did a charity event, and people were like, oh, it's going on about Pod Aid again. But yeah, we did this thing. And I had a team of people, and every time there was an issue, they'd look at me and I'd be like, okay, so I need to find the answers now. And it's not easy. Are you good at situations that obviously you've got to kind of be, if you want to be the captain of a ship, solve problems, right?
Yeah, well, I'm probably not the best at solving problems. My sister is much better than that. So, yeah, if anything happened, I think I'd just have to hop on the phone to her. Maybe I'd get her to sort it out and then report back to everyone else.
That's nice that you've got a co-captain there if you need it.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not the best thing. What's it like when they take these huge turbines then to sea? Because I imagine like there's a difference between lifting this huge thing and placing it up when you're on land to when you're at sea, right? What's the process like for that then?
Well, actually, this ship has legs. So it can basically turn into a rig and float above the water completely. So when you're actually doing the moving operations, you don't have to worry about the movement of the ocean beneath you.
Wow.
You're completely above it. Yes.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. Wow. I love it. What was that like seeing that for the first time? Was that overwhelming?
Loud. Very loud. But no, it's just so strange seeing like really, really rough seas out in front of you, but then not being able to feel it at all.
Yeah. I imagine that's actually really good. Actually, I remember we went to I can't remember where it was. I think it was Greece. Went to Greece and we went on a boat trip, and they parked up to look at the dolphins that they do. It's very generic kind of, oh, let's look at the dolphins. But they parked, and it was like a 2-tier boat, and it was going like this, and we were on the top, and everyone was holding on for dear life because we were just doing. Why would you want to do that for? I mean, if you get paid good money for it, I suppose. I mean, are you used to that kind of thing? Does it scare you? Is it just like part of the job? I mean,
No, that seems terrifying to me. I definitely want to end up on the bigger ships that can just cut through the waves instead of having to go over everyone.
Yeah.
I still don't even know if I get seasick. So,
Wow, can you imagine that? Here is your new captain, Abi Guerin. Here we go, and you just like, hold on. That'd be hilarious. Oh god. Do you have an event, business, or promotion that needs advertising? Well, the Shrewsbury Biscuit is here for you. With listeners local, nationwide, even worldwide, we have the perfect place to get the word out. And the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast is a registered CIC, so you'd be helping us while we help you. Drop us a line at shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com and speak to us today. The Shrewsbury Biscuit Podcast, the voice of Shrewsbury. Have you learned new things about renewable energy with this then? Have you had to put some research in and learn some new facts, some things that really shocked you, or, you know, things that sort of maybe reinstalled your feelings for this sort of thing?
Yeah, the main thing was the environmental considerations that they make when putting the turbines out. So, because they have to, for example, they have to drill a hole to be able to put the teepee in that the turbine sits on. Because that's quite loud. So what they have to do to mask the sound to protect the environment around it is they have like a curtain of bubbles that absorbs the sound so that it can't be heard past it, which is quite cool.
Doesn't disturb the wildlife sort of thing.
That's it, yes. Then there's other things like the legs that go in the water, they have to be well greased up, but the grease then goes in the water. But then I found out that it's biodegradable. So again, there's no oils or anything going in the water when these do. So that was another.
Wow. Again, right? Seeing these things in Skegness, I'm looking at these things. Oh yeah, they turn the wind into power. I'm not thinking about issues like you never do. You never think about things like that. That's fascinating to hear about. Wow.
No, yes.
Oh. And you know, there's always an argument. I don't mean to be negative on the biscuit, you know, guys. I like to be positive, but when it comes to things like this, there's always an argument for these, like, oh, I don't want those horrible things in the sea. I don't want to see them things. Have you had to look into that and sort of, I don't know, have people disappointed you? I guess is the question in their arguments against wind farms. Yeah.
I haven't actually experienced much since I've been out here, since everyone is so used to turbines and everything. But I'm sure I'll have loads of questions when I come back home.
This is all really fascinating to me because, like I said, it's not something we talk about, and I love finding out about culture and finding out about how things work. It's kind of why I do what I do, really, especially when it comes to like speaking to like authors and artists and things, taking a walk around someone's head and working out how they click and sort of stuff. That's great. But this kind of thing as well is really important because I do think that, you know, this engineering work is work that will go on to just help, you know, things stay clean and stuff. And then there's young folks like you that are just going out there and being the new faces, the new leaders, you're the next generation of people that's going to, you know, drive these things forward. I mean, whether you go on to be a captain of a P&O ferry, or whether you be going on to do science vessels, or whether you go on to do amazing adventures, you're doing things that I can't, and I really do appreciate that, you know, genuinely. So well done.
Oh, but then you're doing things that I can't as well, so it just.
I mean, like I just sit there and I'm talking in front of a microphone. I mean, I'm doing this in my bedroom. Can you see? I've got, you know, Master Chief sat there behind me. You know, I'm cozy. You're out there with the wind hitting you in the face and the sea, and you're doing the things that captains go out there to do. You're already living that dream, and I love that. That's so adventurous. So.
So we won't mention the 2-hour-long coffee breaks that I have multiple times a day.
Wow, I mean, you deserve that, I guess.
Yes.
So when you so during the week, Monday to Friday, or whatever your work week is, you know, people differ, but what is the day-to-day like for you? Like from when you first wake up to the end of the day, you know, do you walk a lot? There's a lot of planning involved? Is it stressful? Is it grueling? What's your day like?
Well, every day is definitely very different. But well, for me, I work a 6-hour shift. Sorry, 12-hour shift from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So very, very long day. I normally start up on a bridge, find out what's happening, what everyone's doing. And since I am a cadet and I'm here to learn, I try and make sure I spread my time between all of the different departments on board.
Mhm.
So maybe one day I'll be down on deck, chipping and painting, cleaning, just doing the general maintenance of the vessel. Or I'll head down to the engine room and learn what they're doing. Honestly, most of it just goes straight over my head, but it's still useful. And then there's also the crane ops. So I quite like to be involved with that, helping them lift things on board, helping prepare the site where they put everything. But
So
really, oh,
you're learning an awful lot at the same time, you know? And
yes,
I've heard the saying so many times that you got to learn to take orders before you give them, right? And I guess that's why you're there painting and you're getting stuck in, and you're at the bottom rung of the ladder right now because you've got to learn these things, right?
that's it. And we have actually recently had an inspector come on board, and it was down to me to show them around the ship and answer all of their questions. And because of how much time I'd spent down on deck working with all the other guys, I was able to answer so many more questions than, well, anyone would have expected of me.
And again, another fine quality, because a lot of people are like, I'm going to be a captain one day. So you best listen to what you're sitting there and you're talking to people and you're learning. And I like that. That's very good. Very, very commendable. What are the sort of common myths that you've thought about with common myths with what you're doing right now, that have just been like, oh, I didn't realize that wasn't true. Is there anything that you've learned to unlearn, I guess, while you're doing what
Yes.
you're doing?
Um, I think the biggest has just been because I didn't realize how long the wind turbines could stay out there and how big they were getting. So these can stay out for about 25 years, and
Wow.
there are all these misconceptions about how it's worse for the environment, or you have to get all these metals out of the ground,
As
which then
Donald
like
Trump recently, yeah, they were they cause cancer, and I was just like, what are you talking about? It's
yeah, no,
stupid.
none of that.
um, and I guess like a wind turbine out at sea is different to a wind turbine during the day. Maybe they got different treatment. Maybe they got got more consideration into the fact that these things are going to be battered by the sea for X amount of years rather than sat on a hill in Somerset. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something they're trying to work at now, actually, because of the amount of wind that these turbines have to take, they're the ends of the blades are starting to degrade slightly, and so the issue that they're trying to solve is figuring out how to protect them without changing any of the balance or the stability of the turbines. So they're doing small rubber coating on the tips, which seems to be working, but I guess we'll find out in a few more years.
And what's a living condition? I take it that's your room there that we can see behind you.
Yes, it
Is it
is.
just so is it have you had to adapt in many ways, or is it just like going from one room to another? Have you got all the luxuries that you have at home whilst on board? You know?
Definitely not. Yeah,
No.
had a baggage limit for coming on board, and I definitely went over that, and still probably could have gone over again twice.
Oh, so
Um,
you don't have as much there to sort of keep yourself entertained, or to home comforts, warm comforts.
Not really, no. But luckily, Amazon is still a thing. I can order everything I want, and well, the ship has pool tables and table tennis and
Wow.
TV set up for everyone. So, and a gym that I definitely do not use.
That's fantastic. It's amazing though that you can just, because you've got all these grueling hard days, and it's nice to be able to sort of just have a bit of downtime as well. So that's very lucky, very good. Um,
Yes.
and what have you learned so far? Is there any challenges that you've put yourself through that you've because sometimes, like for example, this week I've just done right. I looked at my calendar at the beginning of the week and I thought, oh my god. I'm never going to see my family. I'm not going to get through this. But today, do you know what? I woke up and I was like, I feel amazing. I got through the week. It battered me and I felt terrible, but oh boy, do I feel good. Do you have those
Yeah.
scenarios for you?
For me, it's just having to constantly be switched on, constantly learning, constantly having to talk to people, because it is just exhausting being surrounded by people 24/7. But you kind of learn to just take a step back. You don't always have to be with everyone. You can just go back to your cabin and sit and chill for a couple hours before you go out and see everyone.
That's really nice. That's really good. And during your year out, are you got any plans to come? Can you come back on leave, or is there any of that going on, or are you just out there for a year?
Well, I have to go on lots of different types of ships. So
cool.
I'm out on this specific one for a total of 4 months. And then I get given my next ship, which we're thinking will be like a bulk carrier or maybe an offshore supply vessel.
Wow.
But the bulk carrier would mean a lot more long distance trips, getting to see more of the world, maybe longer in port. So that seems quite exciting.
That sounds really good. Maybe we can do catch up with Abby. We can find out where you are in the world. That'd be amazing. Let's do that.
Yes, let's do.
Oh, that'd be great because we got one of Shropshire's own going up there traveling the world. Why not document it? And, that'd be really good.
And that's where we find out I'm just sat in Somerset next trip, not really doing anything.
Or it's over the deck. I love
wouldn't make the best podcast.
Oh, God. How many? Have you made new friends while you're over there as well? That's a really important thing. People don't realize, you guys, you stepped away from your home, you're away from your family and stuff. So it's not easy being on your own. So have you managed to meet new people and sort of fit in well?
Definitely love the crew, love everyone. Definitely will be holding on to some of these friendships. It's just quite tricky being the youngest by about 10 years. So, we don't really have quite as much common ground, but sure, we try.
Well, I mean, this is all experience, though. I know I find that I've had to learn that as well. I've always looked up to my peers, the older people that I know I can get a lot from and learn a lot from. But at the same time, when you get to my age, I'm 35 years old, you've got to start looking to younger folks to start learning too. And I have doing what I do with the biscuit and with You Suck and all the stuff that I do. I do speak to a lot of the younger generation and I learn a lot. And, there's a lot to be said about learning from your younger generation about what's going on in the world and how a different outlook. Because, I've learned that the younger generation really do care about the planet a lot more than what sort of maybe what we do and what the older generation before me did, and it's really important. And it's true as well. There's a lot more sustainable businesses being made around green values, and I really do appreciate that. And it's because of these initiatives that what you're working on. Kind of the successes of them really do sort of help. So. What's next for you then? So how long are you there for now? Did you say you got in 4 months' time you're going on a different ship?
Or? I'm on this ship for a total of 4 months. So I'm finally getting off in 7 weeks, just the week before Christmas.
Oh, no. Oh, no. So you're going to be away from the family at Christmas, or are you coming back for a little bit?
No, I will be home for Christmas.
Good.
Yes, I'm getting off on the 22nd, so plenty of time to do my Christmas shopping, I hope.
Well, I think what you're doing is amazing. Honestly, if we can do another podcast in when you get on your new ship, let's do that. I mean, it said here though that your dad is looking at using green energy to power his business, right? Because of the adventure you're going on, right?
Yes, that's exactly it. It kind of opened up his eyes to the different ways you can do things, really. You don't have to go with just the same old boring energy provider. You can go for one that only supplies clean, renewable energy.
Yeah. I wonder how easy it is to switch those from your typical, sort of supplier to green energy, some of the wind turbine only or something. I don't know. I'll have to do some research into that.
Oh, but it is so easy.
Really?
Especially because, all of these things have been put into place. All these new companies are popping up. It is important to people now, and people are advertising their companies when they're greener.
No. I'll have to look into that because it really is important to look after the planet. It really is. And you know, I was just thinking actually about because I remember when I was chatting to your dad and your mum about Shropshire Floats and kind of he loves water. He likes to, you know, and he's trying to include different aspects of water into his business, like the beach, you know, and the floats. And I was like, and now he's got a daughter out at sea. That just kind of fits in, right?
Yes. Well, you know, that's one of the reasons why I chose it, because I love the sea too. And you don't really get enough of it in Telford.
No. That's for sure. That's for sure. Oh, well, Abby, I've really loved chatting to you. I really have. And I'm glad it went. Is there anything that you would like to say to anybody or that would like to step into your shoes? If there are any future cadets out there, how do they do what you're doing right now?
Oh wow, put me on the spot there.
Yeah. Like, what college courses, or you know, if they wanted to become a captain or a cadet or go through the ranks, what did you do, and what can you sort of encourage young people to do?
Just don't be afraid to ask questions. That was the main thing. Like I fell into this because we started talking to the chief officer on board a cruise ship. And it just kind of spiraled from there. And then you find out about all of these different companies just by asking loads and loads of questions.
Amazing. Well, you know, hopefully you've encouraged young people to go out and sort of step out into the world like you are. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. Are you putting things up on social media, your adventures or anything? Can people sort of see what you're up to, or you just kind of getting on by for now?
Yeah, I kind of use the social media that is my parents just sending all of the friends and family pictures.
Loving parents are great, aren't they?
That's it, yeah. I'll come back home and I'll just be a mood board of everything I've done away. And like, thinking, oh, didn't even send you that picture.
Well, do you know what? I wish you the best of luck with your journey. It sounds absolutely. It really does sound exciting. The fact that you're going to have something new to learn every single day, and then, you know, soon you'll be here and soon you'll be there. And when you get on your new ship, drop me a line and we'll come back on the show and we'll talk about where you are and what you're doing.
Will do. Yes.
That'd be amazing. Right, what I need to do though before we go is I need to tell the listeners about what we're doing with a few things on the biscuit. We've got our vintage biscuits that are being released every Sunday. So we've over 300 episodes on the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and we never really use YouTube as a place to release our audio-only podcast. It just seemed pointless. So we're doing it now, though. Every Sunday, you can get some of our classic episodes of the Shrewsbury Biscuit. I think the one we just released today is when Jim Hawkins came around my house and had a cup of tea, and we had a chat with him from the BBC. He came and sat with us. So make sure you check that out. Go to our YouTube channel, the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and give us a subscribe, and then you'll hit the bell button as well. You'll get a notification every time there's a new video released. You can also check out our website as well, which is the shrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk, and that's made for us by our friends at Web Orchard. If you need a good website, make sure you check out Web Orchard. They'll make a nice website for you. Abby, have you got any closing comments? Is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Absolutely nothing. Just thank you for having me. I've had a grand time.
No, make sure you guys set up if you're listening to this and you want to go out on an adventure, just ask questions. Make sure you do it, because life's too short, right? Life's too short.
Make the most of it.
Abby, thank you so much. Stick around. I'll have a chat with you after we've done this. But thank you so much for joining us. And I'll catch you listeners next time. Peace out.